Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering Ipswich Town since 2015. I am Craig Fimbo and you're tuned in, listening, watching the Prematch Show for the Imps of Lincoln away edition. We're available each week on video and audio and sometimes like this on a Friday evening live. What else to do on a Friday evening than watch two blokes wishing they were in the pub talking about Ipswich Town. Joining me, switching seats as we use our rotation policy, albeit not due to a bloated, misshapen, lopsided squad, is Mr. Richard Woodward. Rich, how are you? How was your week?
Hi, Craig. This is weird. This is like when your mates drive your car for you and you're in the passenger seat. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, but I'm enjoying it. Evening to everyone on the chat as well. Are you going
to sit in the back, like as you're doing properly chauffeured around?
I hope so. I would love that. I mean, what's going to happen is I'm going to reach over and press the, you got the air conditioning's not at the right setting. I'll just do that, or the radio's that, and so I might prod and poke stuff.
But, textbook backseat driver, mate.
Otherwise, I'm in your capable hands, and I've done my nerdy research. I'm ready to reveal all about Lincoln, and and we want to hear from everyone outside in the big wide world as well, don't we?
As long as you don't start surreptitiously pressing your foot on the brake pedal, which isn't there as I'm not approaching roundabouts and stuff
Elliot's
like that.
Got that. Yeah.
Well, just to allay everyone's fears, don't worry. This isn't a permanent fixture. Seb's back next week, hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'm keeping Rich's seat warm while Rich keeps Seb's seat warm. So we're like a 2021 version of Give Us a Clue, really. Rich is Unistubs. I'm Lionel Blair. We're keeping we've shifted along a seat to keep everyone's seat warm. So while we're here, do you want to do a charade, Rich? A charade of the first 6 games of the season it's probably not ideal for a that's pretty. I was probably going to go for a bit more syllables and
sorry yeah one word starts with k and ends with rap.
Two syllables, first syllable dog.
There you go.
Cool. So yes, good evening, Rich. Good evening to everyone. And we want to hear from you in the chat as ever. Predictions, thoughts, shout outs, anything ITFC related. Grab yourself a drink, whether it be fizzy, flat, non-alcoholic, warm, cold. Give us a shout. I'm using my Adnams tankard,
nice.
but I got one of those Beer 52 trial things, pay postage only for 12 beers from Chicago, and I forgot to bloody cancel it. So I've got to get through these 12, and I've got another 12 on the way, which I'm not paying $3.99 for. Put it that way.
No, we need to open a bar or a pub, don't you? There you go. Craig's Beer Show. That's what we want. Musical chairs. Yeah, exactly. Right.
No, I'm not actually. I am. I'll tell you what. I am. It's they've got more. I've had some astronaut juice or something it's called, and I'm now on a free bird, and they're all got some crazy old names. Karaoke Tears is lined up as well. I've got, so they're all from Chicago.
There you go. This is an Ease Up IPA from just up the road.
Yeah,
and because I like the planet, and I don't think you should be flying produce overseas in aeroplanes that are.
Rich, you've already gone through your room 101, mate. Don't
go
too early.
Yeah, climate change. I'm going to chuck climate change in room 101.
Saving
go for the big guns.
I'm drinking local beer.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Cool. Right. So, shall we crack on, mate? Shall we go with the news? Now, as you might be able to tell here, Rich is pressing all buttons. Yeah. So he hasn't. I'm not fully entrusted yet to take over the controls of the spaceship as Rich has already said, he's still backseat driving to a certain extent. So we'll you may see a slightly not seamless intro and exit into these
I thought that was all right.
sections. Well, apart from me going news,
Now.
Rich, news.
3. There you go.
So what do we have this week? Alan Brazil. Alan Brazil hasn't been very well. He announced this week that he'd had a small procedure. Was that good? No? A small procedure on my heart. But he's now on the mend. I think he was on the radio this morning, actually.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think so. But he took to Twitter to announce from Felixstowe Seafront that he'd had a small procedure. Who'd have thought that dear old Alan was suffering with a potential issue with his heart? God bless him. So I hope all the best to him.
Yeah.
We won't go too in depth on all of these because obviously the guys on Sunday, the flagship will delve in. But Grant Ledbetter has retired, and according to his press release, he loved wearing the colours of all the clubs he played for. Tell it to your face, mate.
I loved his corners. I loved it. What I love is a corner that hits the first man.
Oh well, thankfully you could argue
Judge,
Lee Evans. Yeah, you can't beat a central midfielder who can't sling in a corner. Also, what do we have? We had Armando Dobra came out. He had a little bit on his move to Colchester. He lied that he was buzzing to be at Colchester United, but hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets a bit of game time, more so than he would do here.
That being said, though, Craig, he would have played on Tuesday against West Ham, wouldn't he? And I just wonder whether he would have made more of an impact than maybe.
But would he be making more of an impact than Barry is, than Chaplin is? I can't say we've been overly impressed with the guys that crikey, it was about half a dozen people who've been tried in the number 10 slot, but there's a similar amount of guys who've been tried out wide. But I appreciate these guys are coming fleetingly and only getting minutes here and there. But dear old Louis Barry on Tuesday didn't have the greatest of games, did he? Which probably takes us seamlessly into the West Ham match, which, as everyone will know, we lost 2-1 to West Ham's under 21s. Yeah, well, you were in hospitality, mate, so you were probably giddy
paying attention
on corn legs or whatever it was you were eating with Joe. Well, myself and actually give a shout out to Matt, aka Bono. We always seem to find ourselves sitting next to each other or near each other.
It's working out really well for us, that, isn't it? That combination of me and Joe and you and Bono in the up in the gods, weren't you?
Well, we were just in front of the press box in the comfy seats in, I don't know what section it is. Why is it? Whatever it is in the Pioneer stand in the middle there. But I'm sure if me and Matt, I'm sure we'd prefer to being wined and dined in hospitality rather than being cramped with our knees up around our ears. There
were other people around you though. Do you want to give some secret squirrel news about who was spotted around you?
Yeah, well, what were we there for previously? The League Cup match we were up there for, and we were surrounded by a litany of stars. We had Paul Goddard near us on that match. Kieran Dyer was up there as well. There's a couple of guys you sort of recognise from being in football circles, but probably an assistant coach somewhere or another. But the other night we had, as ever, the ever-present John McGreal was watching, as he always is. Start your rumours now if you wish, but he's been to pretty much every one of those games. I think he's at most games. He was sitting with the goalkeeper coach from Col U, the chap who used to be our goalkeeper coach, Academy, I think he was, and he moved to be Col U's first team coach, didn't he? And also David Wright, ex-ITFC right back in full Milton Keynes Dons kit. He was in his tracksuit bottoms, top and polo shirt, all with DW emblazoned on them, so he wasn't hiding away. There seems to be a lot of people out that area just with notebooks. A lot of important looking people with just
Ipswich can't defend. Yeah, just go wide behind the fullbacks.
Sling it behind the fullbacks. Asterisk.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always a a gathering of people up there that so you sort of see by sight, think, oh yeah, he probably has something to do with something, but we don't know why David Wright was there because they're not due to be playing us anytime soon. But
no, maybe a loan for a West Ham under-21, perhaps.
Yeah,
is the only thing I thought of, but.
Very possibly. But in terms of that match, it was probably, as I said on the flagship show, I thought it was an opportunity to get some relationships going. It seemed a bit of a missed opportunity, especially when we'll talk about Paul Cook's pre-match comments in a sec. But what do you reckon, Rich? Thomas Holy cemented his position as what, first choice, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I direct folk to our excellent live show me and Ben did, excuse me, on Wednesday. And Holy came up, and Vincent Young came up, and Barry came up, Morsey came up, and Carroll came up. The only person actually I thought might have got some credit in the bank and may feature at the weekend is Norwood, who obviously scored early on, albeit kind of a tap-in, wasn't it? But actually looked quite energetic and is also going to throw himself about a little bit. And I just wonder whether he might have played himself into, certainly a bench role if Bond's not fit. But that might work out there. So that was the only thing that we didn't really talk about on Wednesday that, might be relevant.
Yeah, but he's in Lincolnshire as we speak. His Instagram is showing us a picture of a desk in some hotel in Lincolnshire. So he's there or thereabouts. Obviously, Pigott isn't getting much of a look in, is he? So from bench or from start at the moment. So, okay, so that's pretty much West Ham. As Rich said, Ben and Joe did our midweek live stream, which
me and Ben.
Sorry. Okay, I knew it was one of the hospitality freeloaders.
One of the lovies in the hospitality.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Finally, news-wise, we'd just obviously like to pass on our best wishes and condolences to Paul Cook and his family on the death of Paul's father. And obviously, we know that all you guys that are watching and every single Ipswich fan will be thinking exactly the same thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Okie dokie, mate. Pre-match. Cool. So we had a couple. Who did we have in front of the press this week? We had Wes Burns was rolled out this week. So
he's fallen into the trap that a lot of Ipswich players do of saying it's not over, guys. It's not over.
And we can win the league.
We can win the. I get nothing is won or lost in September. Let's be honest. But wow, I mean context and all that. Eh?
Yeah, read the room. Well, I think without wishing to go verbatim what he said, he pretty much said we can win the league. Things are still gelling. There's not much time during the week to get ideas across. Morsey's kicking everyone in training, and we assume he's going to do the same once the matches start. Selena doesn't give the ball away. It's pretty much still that we've got a lot of very, very good players here. Just you wait until such time as it clicks together and watch us rocket up the league.
Oh, look! Watch out, League One. And Craig, nothing would. I would be happy. I would be delighted if that happened. All of us would love to be wrong about this situation, and there is some element of truth that the gelling. You're going to talk about Appleton's quotes. Let's do that now because he's basically saying similar, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, actually, one thing that Burns did talk about was the fact that all these guys are still not only gelling as a team, but they're still embedding themselves into the town. They're all looking for the same houses. They're all looking for the same flats.
Each other.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that, we probably don't necessarily think about the back room, back office bits and pieces that are going on.
Life stuff, isn't it?
They do affect people, don't they? It's all very well being holed up in a hotel room, whatever, early afternoon when they finish training through to the next morning's training. I think they're all trying to get out as much as they can, but it's just a very, very strange situation. And as you say, Rich, Michael Appleton was asked about us and whether it's a slow start should be expected. And I think he pretty much said both yes and no, that signing what do you say, signing 19 players. That's a hell of a lot of players to bring in at the same time. At some point, they're going to click. God, when's this clicking going to happen? Everyone's talking about clicking. My God, we're going to be racing up the league and scoring goals galore once it does. I hope it's not Saturday. I hope we can perform to a level where, one, we can compete with them, and two, beat them. I'm sure at some point they will perform really well. I'd be surprised and shocked if they're not in the top 6 come game 46. So
Wow.
Ipswich are currently 5-2 to finish in the top 6. I had a quick look earlier. So
when the fun stops, stop. Yeah.
Well, yeah, gamble responsibly. On a tangent, Macaulay Bond's currently favourite to be leading top scorer.
Oh, he's doing all right on that front. That's
yeah, certainly. And Paul Cook, talking about him and his pre-match comments, he was asked post-match in the West Ham game about coaching and the effect that is our current downturn down to the coaching, and he was quite understandably dismissive about him and his friends. But he was asked again about the lack of an assistant manager, and as ever, he didn't really answer the question. He answered the question that he wanted to answer. He should be on question time, shouldn't he? Really. Now, I'm not going to even bother treading on your toes here, mate, in terms of accents and interpretations of the Scouse vernacular. I'm going to go purely tendering. If you look back, for example, at Macaulay Bond's miss at Cheltenham, was that due to my assistant manager not being in the dugout? I don't think so. If you look back at Lee Evans standing on the ball against whoever it was at home and giving the goal away, was that down to an assistant manager issue? Now, remember, Paul Cook does not call out his players in press conferences. But aside from that, let's just take the Macaulay Bond and Lee Evans mistakes into account. We've got a great belief in making the club better. If we feel that experience should come in to help the coaching team, I'd be all for it. I'd be all for anything that makes this football club better.
There you go.
But do you think we are in a position, or we will get to a position, and obviously it will make his position quite tenuous, intangible, if he gets foisted? The last thing you want is someone just gets parachuted in, foisted in to him. Yeah.
He needs to be part of that decision-making process, doesn't he? And it sounds like he's not necessarily against it, but it does feel like it needs to be his man. And that's why we were talking about John McGreal. We mentioned him tonight, haven't we? It seems such an obvious thing because I think they both know each other. And McGreal's got different attributes, and certainly he's got more defensive sensibilities perhaps as well. That just seems like a no-brainer. And he's part of the Scouse Mafia as well. It just seems to me like why you wouldn't just do that one. If you know that it's going to happen at some point. I mean, maybe he's hoping that the clicking that we keep talking about happens on Saturday and then it becomes academic, because we're fickle, aren't we? If we suddenly went on a winning run, we'd start talking about the assistant manager straight away. So it's only because we're on a really terrible run at the moment and got thumped by Bolton and lost to West Ham's under-21s that it suddenly matters. But I just think it's a gimme, John McGreal. Given he likes his golf old Paul Cook, it seems to me he's in the building basically, as you said, every week. So
I think the underlying issue is that John McGreal wants a first team job, doesn't he? He doesn't.
Yeah, we'll give him a release clause.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think Charlie's point there, I think, is a valid one, isn't it? It feels, if given he's asserted such a contrary position to appoint that assistant in the summer, the Q&A.
Yeah,
it is kind of a little bit of damn it, I wouldn't want to do that.
But then I suppose taking up Charlie's point there is, at what point do you look behind you? And the poor guy is getting zero input from the 3 or 4 guys that are sitting on the bench behind him during matches. We can all see it. He's there on his haunches all by himself. He hasn't got anybody in his ear to give him any advice or any sort of, from what we can see, any sort of interpretation of what's happening during matches, etc. But it's in his own best interest at some point. He's now being tarred with the brush of, this is all supposition. He's being tarred with the lack of experience of the guys that he's brought in. At some point, he needs to turn around and think, right, these guys aren't helping me here. Maybe I just do need help. Swallow the pill, and get someone in to help out.
Thoughts on Joe's point here?
Well, yeah, I think they are, and I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that they are all chatting. They're not. He's not going to be keeping it to himself, as you say, Rich. They've been teammates, haven't they? They go back that far with Tranmere, I believe. So, I'm sure these conversations are going on, but probably not. John McGraw is not going to be as involved on a day-to-day basis as he would be if he were officially part of the furniture. One thing actually Paul Cook did go on to say was, in my world, the thing that will make this football club better is more time, and here's the important bit, more games together on the pitch. Right, Rich, if he wants more games together on the pitch, 4 days ago, why did he not have at least some partnerships that may help us on Saturday?
Because it wasn't a league game, Craig, and we heard from the horse's mouth that the EFL trophy is the lowest of our priorities. So I kind of understand where people are coming from in that respect. But if Edmondson or Burgess gets injured, then in an EFL trophy match, then he wouldn't hear the end of it, would he? So he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't on that one. I kind of understand what he did midweek. I know that people will be frustrated about that, but it's the real quiz of the league. And unfortunately, what he needs is more pre-season matches with all of this, all of these signings, unfortunately, dripped in through July and August, didn't they? And it's competitive fixtures that really matter, I think. So that's
and it's not just the getting up to speed in terms of tactics. It's getting up to speed in terms of fitness as well. Not all of these guys. Well, we talked about Wes Burns.
Oh, Edmondson.
He was in on day one, wasn't he? Whereas, as you say, the other guys came in stops and starts, and there was a flurry at the end. So, albeit probably not an ideal situation in terms of getting everyone in. Ideal world, ideal scenario. Everyone's in on day one. Everyone's being run around the pitch and getting up to speed, etc. But crikey, we do look an unfit team to my eyes. Certainly with regards to this press that we're trying to do, we just don't look like we've got the legs in us to do it. And poor old Vincent Young he looked like he was dragging a tyre behind him, like Rocky Balboa when he was only on the pitch for 15, 20 minutes. But the poor old boy, he made one lung-bursting run to get up near that corner where I sit, and he looked like me running back.
Wow. You're a fit man, aren't you? You're fit. Craig's fit. There you go. There's a quote. There's a clip for your podcast. But we know about Vincent Young, don't we? And he's coming back from a long-term injury, or several long-term injuries. So, yeah, it is a difficult one. And, some really excellent points here in the comments, particularly this one. And I think a lot of us would respect Cook because it's acknowledgement that things aren't as good as they, and his quotes allude to that as well, don't they, Craig? Let's be fair. And then Marius's point there, for Cook, this click, well, those are words, aren't they? That alliteration. It's necessary, isn't it? It has to be one way. So the decision about the assistant basically needs to be decided in the next week or two, from my mind, because if you leave it too long, then Scully, it's not going to happen, is it? And to be honest, if we continue down the crap runs of results, Cook isn't going to be in charge too much longer if we can't get a win by the end of October, for argument's sake. So one way or the other way, this comes to a head, either because we come into form, or someone comes in and hopefully we come into form, as per Marius's comment, or Cook is obstinate, or we can't find the right one because we're fussy, and the run continues, and Cook is, Ashton needs to get a new first team coach as well as an assistant coach. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. And hello to Maz there. I know Maz. That's probably the one failing you could put at Ashton's door, isn't it? Is that and I appreciate you can't, force people into making decisions and getting people in. However, it probably is that one in the whole what we've seen so far in terms of the setup behind the scenes and the structure and sports science and performance, etc., that all looks pretty professional and experienced, etc. The one area which currently, to our eyes, our limited knowledge of it, that doesn't look as experienced, if nothing else, is bizarrely the first team coaching setup.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, mate. Well, we've done our spiel. We've done our pre-match. Let's move on to Lincoln themselves, shall we?
Yeah. Shall I put my nerdy video up?
Get your nerdy video up, mate.
And I'll introduce everyone to some basics about Lincoln. The Imps and their badge, their crest. I assume that's something to do with the cathedral. I should have really done more research. Central Bank, and slightly bigger than some of the other grounds for teams that we've faced so far. Rivals up in the kind of east coasty area, kind of Grimsby and Scunthorpe, though clearly not in the same division. We'll talk about their 2021 campaign in a bit more detail in a second, but 5th place finished and through the playoffs there, although unsuccessful ultimately. Michael Appleton in charge. We'll talk more about him as well. Someone very well known to our owners, as in our chief exec and our chairman. Captain is Liam Bridcut, him of Nottingham Forest and Bolton, anchoring there the midfield. And 1-1 draw for them against Rotherham on Tuesday night. And they went a goal down, came back into it. I think ultimately we're quite fortunate to hold on. I think Rotherham kind of chucked the kitchen sink at them in the end. And last time out against us, it was Paul Cook's first game in the home dugout, and a 1-1 draw. Lovely curling effort from Lincoln to give them the lead in the first half, and I think, and then Wilson, it was kind of a free kick, floated in, Chambers headed it back across, and player of the season, James Wilson, remember him, headed in the equaliser. We'll definitely talk about personnel and playing stuff and all that kind of stuff, but just talk about some of the key bits of business. It's still kind of early-ish in the season, so I think we can just about get away with this. We'll talk about Teddy Bishop, some quotes from him this week. Obviously signed on an undisclosed fee, which we think is around £200,000. Jamie Robson is kind of lots of signings actually made early in the window, but Jamie Robson was a late one because they sold Teo Aiden to Blackburn for $500,000, and he came in on an undisclosed fee from Dundee, plays at left back. 6 players out, including George Grant there, who went to Peterborough, leading scorer last season in the league. So a big loss for him. And other players kind of note who left was Brennan Johnson on loan from Nottingham Forest, who scored quite a lot of goals and tormented us in the away fixture at Lincoln early in the 2021 campaign. So that's a little bit of insight there into Lincoln. In terms of the situation for them at the moment, Craig, 15th in the league, certainly not kicked on in the same way that they would have hoped for, having been runners-up in the playoffs last time out. So 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. The issue really is goals, and goals at both ends of the field. Only 10 scored and 9 conceded. So their goal difference isn't so good. But some chunky wins. A chunky win against Cambridge, and a win at Fleetwood. It's certainly a team that isn't as firing as they were last time out. And the fact it's effectively it's 1.4 goals per game scored versus 1.3 goals a game conceded. So draws feel like the likelihood.
Well, they started off slowly, didn't they? I think all of their losses were in August, so they started off slowly, and that's probably understandable given, as you were saying about you spoke about 2 of them, hadn't you? You spoke about Brennan Johnson and also Rogers, who were 2 very, very good low knees to have last season, weren't they? And also they had the goalkeeper Morton, I think Palmer, wasn't it, from West Brom, which, funnily enough, last season they had a goalkeeper on loan from West Brom, and this season they've got a goalkeeper on loan from West Brom. And that's their first choice goalkeeper. So that's an interesting little
an FPL tractor there saying Jamie Robson. I didn't know he was linked with us. If only Luke Penning was around on there. Are you there, Luke? You can tell us about Jamie Robson, I'm sure. But yeah, interesting one. Didn't know that.
Yeah, and they had that was a hell of a ding dong, wasn't it? That playoff semi against Sunderland. I remember watching that on the telly. That was a proper old-fashioned textbook playoff semi, wasn't it?
Yeah, and fifth for Lincoln in the league is great. And, we know to our cost about Lincoln from the previous season. They had good momentum there, which they sustained. And Appleton, excellent coach, someone that I've rated for quite a while since he was at Oxford. Had some difficult spells. He was at West Brom. I think he was caretaker at Leicester, I guess before Rodgers came in, perhaps. But has kind of found his feet there at
Puel.
Lincoln.
I think Claude Puel, the enigmatic, charismatic, gregarious Claude Puel.
Yeah. And I think he's kind of got some scars from. I don't know whether the Venky's were still there, but some time at Blackburn didn't go down particularly well. So I think he likes an element of control there, but definitely kind of a guy who's willing to put in the hours on the training ground and improve the players that he's got. But those transfers tell you that he's got an eye for a good player as well. So good at developing.
Yeah, what they did last season, before last season, they pretty much same as us. I think they let approximately 20 go and brought 20 players in, and as a result, they weren't really expecting to do too much last year, other than solidify their position in League One. And what they did do at the end was, I think, beyond everyone's expectations, is certainly finishing in the top six. As you say about Appleton, I think what you can tell from watching any of his teams, they are just so well. Again, from the outside looking, just so well drilled and coached, aren't they? They just know exactly what they're doing. I remember going to the 5-3 match, and one of the goals, I can't remember which one it was, but they were playing like blind reverse passes, knowing damn well that there was someone running behind them into the box to, they just knew their patterns of play, and I think
they did.
And you may think that that's why they've started slowly this year, because you still just, as we're talking about us gelling, they're probably in the same boat as well, is that they've lost some pretty integral players to the way they played last year because they were on loan. And now they've had to bring in people like Teddy Bishop and others to hopefully, and also lost George Grant, who, as you said, was their top scorer last year. So they have lost a pretty integral nucleus of what was a top six finishing team last season. So it may well take him a little bit longer to get things going on the pitch. But what would you say if you were talking a bit earlier about how long Paul Cook has, if results don't go our way till the end of October, it wouldn't take a huge leap of supposition to maybe suspect that Michael Appleton could be on Mark Ashton's radar for the next Ipswich Town manager? I
think contract or not, because he signed quite a lengthy contract extension of Lincoln, Michael Appleton, he will be number one choice. He was at Oxford. I think O'Leary and Ashton were both at Oxford and appointed Appleton, all the A's. So he will be number one choice. And to be fair, we'd heard whispers already about that, around the time of the deal being struck, that he was still, even around the time Cook was being linked as well. So that would not surprise me at all. But as I said, he's had some tough experiences as a first team coach, and he won't jump unless he's got reassurances. So any kind of whiff of uncertainty, and he's well liked at Lincoln, and obviously the contract that he signed is as an endorsement of that. But if he's given the support, I think that would be a really great partnership. Hopefully it works with Paul Cook. Obviously we need to not get ahead of ourselves too much. No,
100%. But as you say, that already in place relationship with the CEO, the CEO and the chairman, and albeit, this is also, again, scenarios we don't know about, albeit that we would have got rid of a manager who hadn't been in the job very long, you would think that it's a relatively calm and stable club that he would be moving into. But again, as you say, Paul Cook, I'm still 100% behind Paul Cook. So in terms of key players this season, Rich, who have they got that's been doing the business for them so far?
You'll know about this, Craig, and everyone else will be kind of waiting in bated breath for me to curse someone with greatness, as always. But this week it's really not that difficult. the key man is Anthony Scully, who's the formation they play is a 4-3-3, albeit it's kind of more of a 4-5-1 when they're up against it, as they were on Tuesday nights. And it's funny that Scully is actually the left of the attacking three. He's not the front man. This guy called Tom Hopper, who scored 8 goals last season. I think he's yet to get off the mark, but he's all about bringing the others into play. It's about giving an outlet, going a little bit direct, if I'm honest, to Hopper, but he brings in the others, and Scully has found the net. I think it's, where's my numbers here? 5 goals in the league so far, 9 in all competitions, I think it is. 3 assists as well, Craig. So really, it's a no-brainer. And the fact I'm calling him out there should not be a surprise to anyone who knows Lincoln, and hopefully shouldn't be a surprise to Paul Cook and his backroom team as well. Worth mentioning Lewis Fiorini.
Fiorini,
who's on loan from Man City. A couple of assists for him so far. But really, the players that stand out for me are doing some of the kind of harder yards. Liam Bridcut, we talked about him as the captain. He's really important. He's kind of, their Morsey kind of player there. And I know Alex has put a comment about Morsey, and we'll talk about maybe him a little bit later on. But really important at shielding the back four. If anything, that midfield three is a little bit confused. It doesn't really know what it wants to do. And it hasn't been creating much. It also hasn't been offering a huge amount of protection either. So Bridcut really is vital, kind of the second line of defence, third line. I don't know what I'm saying. He's a good shield for the back four. The other player who I quite like the look of as well is in the back line. A guy called what's his name?
Lewis Montsma.
Lewis Montsma. Thank you. Yeah. He plays on the right side of centre back. Good physical player. Scored quite a lot of goals for them last season, but really classy on the ball. Will try to start that build-up of play from within their half, which they like to do.
He was the Dutch guy, wasn't he? They bought for a pittance, and all of a sudden, after one season with Lincoln, he was being linked to Premier League clubs for millions and millions and millions of quid. And he didn't end up going anywhere.
No, and it's really important, as I said, because the midfield, that configuration, you mentioned it, Greg, they haven't really, similar to us actually, haven't really settled on that configuration yet, that consistent selection, and that's got to be a factor. As you said, some key players who left in the summer were in there, and we know from experience with Teddy Bishop, for example. We'll talk about him a little bit more in a second. These kind of players are going to play in and out of form, aren't they? And that's something to be considered here. Conor McGrandles and Lasse Sorensen are 2 players who've come in, and I think they've been starting the bulk of the games. But again, neither of them really contributing a huge amount in terms of assists or creating too many chances. So it really is about Scully and what he can do. And the fullbacks will go wide. The midfield will be quite narrow. The fullbacks will push wide. We mentioned Robson, who has come in. It was Cohen Bramall, who's ex-Cole U, who'd been playing in that left back position and is now kind of being usurped, but can actually play anywhere kind of down the left hand side. Regan Paul on the other side on the right back. But the issue for them, and it was certainly the issue Tuesday night, is the more they defend, the less those guys can. Unlike us, there's no kind of kamikaze positioning with the fullbacks. They don't bomb on if the team is in a defensive mode. And I think that's why you're seeing these kind of, these shutouts and draws, because there's they're not going out and out for it. But then you see them score 5 against Cambridge. So on their day, real threat, but they won't gamble. They won't gamble that solid base just for the sake of it.
No, because as you sort of alluded to, they got battered, didn't they, against Rotherham the other night? It was a 1-1 mauling at the end of the day, wasn't it? Over 20 shots in the second half. Rotherham had the goalkeeper was man of the match. I think they did well to get out of it with a draw. And one person that wasn't playing Tuesday night and who, hold on to your hats, everyone, was injured during the game on Saturday against Cambridge, was Edward Bishop, otherwise known as Teddy. And as you said earlier, Rich, he moved to Lincoln in the summer for about £220,000. And I say he played 50 odd minutes the game against Cambridge. Picked up an ankle knock, and then also had a bit of an illness, I think, which kept him on the bench on Tuesday night. But he seems to think he'll be back. Paul Cook was asked about Teddy and whether he needed to make a new start. 100%, he said, Teddy's a lovely lad, a really good guy. Having been at Ipswich for a period of time, a fresh start was what we all felt would do Teddy the world of good. And to be fair to Teddy, he obviously was in pre-match mode for the Lincolnshire, whatever it is, Echo, Standard, Chronicle, Gazette. And he said himself, I started last season really well. I was enjoying my football, playing well. Then I got an injury. Shock. Came back into the side and the team was struggling. The new manager came in, and a few weeks after that, it was quite apparent to me that I needed a new start as I didn't fit into those sort of plans. I knew a couple of months before the end of the season, really. He then went on to say, basically, he's enjoying his football under Appleton, that he gives him the freedom to play how he wants, be off the cuff, inventive, etc., etc. He's feeling much better. He says his illness knocked him for 6, using a cricket analogy, a good old solid cricket analogy. So just want to go on a hoary old subject. Rich Bishop, was Paul Cook right? Is he right to say that a fresh start has done him and does everyone the world of good?
I don't know. I mean, I think Bishop's... we want to see Teddy Bishop play football. I think that's first and foremost. You definitely feel a sense of ownership, or kind of a paternal kind of instinct.
Paternal, exactly that. Yeah,
of players coming through, and of all of the players that were let go at the end of the season, I thought Bishop was one who could actually make a contribution. But clearly, we set down on the route of demolition man and getting rid of everyone really. And the fact we got money is a good thing. I think probably Cook is maybe putting a more positive spin on that exit than maybe we'd heard and had been reported in the press. But I think Bishop still is struggling really to find his feet. There's no telling contributions in respect of output for his performances so far. Quite a lot of obviously injuries and fitness and so on, notwithstanding a few starts on the bench. A Thronker in the league, in the EFL Trophy or the League Cup, I think, at the start of the season. But as I said, no assists, no goals. But if I'm going to curse someone with greatness, I'm doing my utmost to give it to Teddy Bishop, and you'd be stupid not to start him tomorrow if he's fit, because there'll be a lot of players in the kind of Alan Judge at Cole U in the pre-season friendly mode who will want to prove Paul Cook wrong, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely right. And one of the points that Bishop did mention actually was that when Paul Cook came in and played the system he wants to play, he plays with 2 defensive midfielders, and Bishop couldn't see himself where he'd fit into a 4-2-3-1. He didn't see himself as that number 10, and he certainly didn't see himself as one of the 2, well, in name only, defensive midfielders. So from his perspective, he obviously sees himself as a 2 or a 3, a number 8 or a number 4, what you want to call it, but in that centre, just to do bits and pieces and be allowed to do what you want, because he's got his mate Bridcut beside him to do the dirty work, I suppose.
Yep. And he's not got, as I said, they've not got the output to be the number 10, or it's. I say I like, he's an elegant footballer, Bishop, but at this level, you think a championship level, don't forget he was young player of the season for us 14-15, really classy footballer, but at this level, those kind of players just don't seem to thrive. You think Andre Dazelle, similar, in central midfield, it's a battle. You're up against the likes of Bridcut and Morsey, and I just think you're not given the time. So it doesn't surprise me that the likes of Appleton and Cook attack down the flanks, because I just think midfields get too clogged up, especially if it's a 4-3-3 versus a 4-2-3-1 on Saturday. It's just going to be spaced down the flanks, isn't it? You've got 3v3 effectively in the middle there. It's just too cloggy to be creating real meaningful passages of play. And Lincoln, to be fair to them, do try to spring the early ball to Scully. So that's something we should look out for. But I will expect the 2 teams to be trying to just attack down the wings as much as possible. And that's why the likes of Bishop isn't going to get a look in too much in Cook's system. And I'm not sure he's going to really be too much of a threat on a kind of consistent basis for Lincoln either.
Did everyone clip that one? Yeah, he's not going to be too much of a threat.
I've already jinxed it.
We'll stop it after that.
I've already jinxed it. Well, Scully and Bishop, two goals each. There you go.
It seems an ideal opportunity then to move on to us then, really. What do people think? What's the selection going to be following Tuesdays? Anyone, as Rich was saying earlier about Norwood potentially, has anyone moved themselves up into a first team place, or at least consideration for the bench? I just wonder whether those that played 90 minutes on Tuesday because they're not going to be involved on Saturday. As Alex says here, and this is a question that we've gone over time and time again on the flagship and on the pre-match, is that certainly the second point you raises here about this number 10, and it goes into what you were saying there, Rich, about using the width, is that you can see that, and everyone can see as clear as the nose on your face, is that when Evans and Harper get the ball in that defensive midfield area, they look wide straight away. They look wide. They're pinging balls wide, whether it be to the fullbacks, whether it be to the wide attackers, stroke midfielders. They never, ever, ever look forward and central to the poor sod, whoever it may be, that's playing number 10. I can't believe there's many number 10s in the league of the teams that play it that have fewer touches than ours do, whether it be Fraser, whether it be Chaplin, whether it be Barry, whether it be Piggott. Who else has played there? Uncle Tom Cobley. It'll be Selena in a week or two's time, maybe even Saturday. Who knows? But we just don't. We push it wide, but it then goes forward with width, and then into the box where there's very rarely more than one person in there. It doesn't ever seem to either funnel through the middle from our central midfielders, or once it goes wide, come back into that guy at number 10, does it?
Yeah, and that's what makes me, and to Alex's question there, to me, the best way to get something out of a number 10 is to play a forward rather than a creative attacking midfielder, because I think what we have seen of late, and it was certainly evident against West Ham, and we had the same issue last season, is the striker is so isolated. Look, Piggott against whoever it was, AFC Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon was just so isolated. So I think if you play a striker or a forward as a number 10, as a withdrawn forward who's going to get in, Bon and Norwood could do it. Bon was charging around like a crazy person, getting stuck into tackles, wasn't he? And it's not kind of the same as playing two up front, but I just think at this level, and we've already said about Bishop, you just don't get the time to put your foot on the ball and try and be smart. So get the ball wide as quickly as possible, get the overloads, get the overlaps, and just make sure there is more than one body in the penalty box when the ball is crossed in.
But that's the thing. That's the crux of the matter, is that, without going over it again, where I sit at Portman Road is above the tunnel. So I'm in that corner there, and we see umpteen balls go into the box, and invariably it's Bon by himself. Occasionally you might get the left-handed wing coming in and supporting, but not very often. And what more often than not happens is that Chaplin or the number 10 has dropped deep or to the edge of the box. Bon has gone that way anyway because he's had to win the flick on, and there's no bugger in the box at all. And they just don't seem to have, considering they've got Gary Roberts, who played as a number 10 a lot of the time for Paul Cook, and Franny Jeffers, international striker. They don't, he is. Not only can they not solve the defensive issue, they don't seem to have worked out how to get more bodies into the box when we're attacking.
Nice. I assume is Michael joking there? Swap the number 10 role to a sitter in front of the centre halves. He can cover the bothering fullbacks. Yeah. And I also spotted a comment by Nick as well. I think he put it up briefly because Alex asked us about the fullbacks. It was the other one, actually. Dynasty will play right back on Saturday. And I would not be surprised. It's a really simple thing for Cook to do, is to say, don't bomb on too far up the pitch, please, Coulson and Danassian. That's the simple fix. If you've not got Morsey and you can't get Harper and Evans to follow instructions, and they can't be coached, because to be fair, that's not the kind of players they are. Let's be honest about it. Then just lose a little bit of your threat or your attacking intent from the fullbacks and rely more on the wingers. It's going to sacrifice the overlaps. But to be honest, I struggle to think of goals that have come about from the fullback getting the final ball in, because it's generally Wes Burns or Edwards who have caused the damage from my recollection. It's useful to drag a defender out of the way, but I just think tell the defenders to just not have not to get nosebleeds up at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, well, I think KVY's got the most assists, but one of those was a 60-yard crossfield ball to Macaulay Bonne, and the other one he slipped down to Wes Burns, who then broke into the area and scored the cross shot, didn't he, to the far corner. So it's not as if, as you say, they've been creating them themselves. It has been Burns, and Fraser, to be fair, has got one or two assists himself, hasn't he, as well.
Should we get some predictions?
Yeah. I was going to say let's crikey, predictions of the team. Let's get some predictions of the score. So
score as well, yeah.
In terms of what Nick was saying here about Carroll playing differently from Evans and Harper, yeah, he did. Both him and Morsey played differently to how Evans and Harper have played. But what you noticed on Tuesday night was when Morsey won the ball, invariably it was further up the pitch than when Harper and Evans nominally win the ball. He was winning it in the opposition's half, and obviously Carroll was playing more of a type of a just tick over playmaker type role. And I did compare him a little bit to poor old Andre, who we spoke about Andre Dizelle last season, where he was picking the ball up in our final third or around the 60 yards away from the opposition goal, which was similarly to what Carroll was doing, really. If you want these guys on the ball, you need them further up the pitch to make more of an impact on the play itself, I think. So what else have we got here then? Yeah, so prediction. Rich, how about yourself? Are you fully having told us that Lincoln are solid, that their fullbacks don't get forward, that Teddy Bishop's normally in and out of games and doesn't perform much, and certainly can't do it in League One?
Misquoted. Yeah. I can't see us not conceding 2, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 there. Janoffy has beat me to it. I think it will be 2. I think we will have figured out a little bit more sensibly how to play, and I think we need to respect Lincoln a little bit as well. I think we'll draw. I think 2, because I just like the symmetry of the kind of always conceding 2 goals, kind of, or at least 2 goals now, isn't it? So that's my prediction.
And would be okay with that, do you think? Would be happy to get away with it? And obviously it wouldn't look too good on the goals against column yet again, but just putting a stop to conceding 5 goals is an improvement.
I think 1-1 would be a better scoreline if we're going to draw. But as we keep saying, there is nothing to say that we can turn up and smash them. We'll probably 4-2. Stats' favourite scoreline. You know what I mean? That isn't impossible, depending on who comes back in. I know FPL Tractor's given us a suggested lineup there. I would love to see Norwood and Bonne, frankly. Norwood in the number 10 and Bonne up front, and maybe them swapping around a little bit. I think it will be the back 5 as it was last week. I would probably be surprised if he rotates Evans and Harper. I think he probably should, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think given Carroll played 90 minutes midweek, then I'd be surprised if he starts again on Saturday. And I think, as you were saying about Danassian not bombing forward, Harper plays on his side of the pitch, doesn't he? So you would think that therefore Harper wouldn't be required to shuffle across and cover Danassian, who's bombing forward, because he won't be doing that. It will hopefully allow Harper to not concern himself so much about what's going on beside him or behind him. He'll be allowed to push forward a little bit more. Sindre, tomorrow is the day. 3-1. Well, bloody hell, I do this every week, honestly. I watch us on a Saturday, I watch us on a Tuesday, and I think, God, what a shower. And then comes to Friday, I think, do you know what? This could be the time, you know.
He's had a Chicagoian beer and he's suddenly
not just one, my friend, about 3 or 4, and they're all a good 5.8%. So read into that what you will. I'm going to go with Eric. I'm going 2-1 Town. That's the same as me, my friend. I'm going 2-1.
Do we think we'll see Selena? That seems a little bit ambitious, doesn't it? Maybe for the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Well, would he go into the graveyard that is the number 10 position?
One thing I would say about Selena being the number 10, sorry to jump in, is at least he can shoot from range. And that's something that seemingly none of the players who've had the number 10 shirt so far have been able to do. I know Chaplin had a shot, he's kind of turned and hit one against Bolton, but Selena can at least pick the ball up, run it, and then ping one, can't he? Which at least gives us a different type of threat.
Yeah, and you would probably think, all things being equal and knowing what we know at the moment, that he will come on for the last 20, 25 minutes or so, won't he? If things go to plan, he'll come on and then, hopefully just give us a bit more impetus and take us to that 2-1 nailed on victory that myself and Eric have said was definitely going to happen. As Dennis says here, just a quick one on Mac Penny. Is he unlucky to have fallen so far back in the pecking order? Well, he's fallen one place back, hasn't he? He's behind Coulson.
Probably where we expected him to be, isn't he? And don't forget, Scully, he did play 90 minutes on Tuesday. So
as he says though, he hasn't let anyone down, has he? He's been decent enough when he's played, but Coulson, I think, once he gets up to match fitness, you would think that he will be he showed us in glimpses, hasn't he, that he can give us a real purpose going forwards. Okay, mate. Well, let's close off the Lincoln bits and pieces. Let's go to the reason why everybody's here. It's room 101.
You need to remove Sully's comment because it will cover it up.
Jesus Christ. Hold on a sec.
I thought you were in charge.
We'll do all this out, yeah?
Oh, yeah. We'll do this in the edit, yeah? Yeah, good. Here comes our chat intro.
101.
It's Friday night and we're in Liquid, everyone. It's 2002.
Or the Hippodrome for you, culture. Or Valentino's or Aristos for you guys who are a little bit older. Maz, that's one for you.
The eagle-eyed will have noticed that I usually update the scores. I ran out of time, and also I think we need to add Mikey into the mix. But Mikey has got 0 because I won last week by 2%. Come on, that's what we want.
Rich, look, last week I listened to it. I listened to it on Saturday morning. I popped down the street, got myself some bread and some milk. I thought, right, I'll put the podcast on, listen to it. And I was chuckling away to myself, listening to one because it was an absolute shambles.
But it doesn't. Games.
How can you claim victory where both of you put your cases forward and then argued against both of your cases? I don't know which one of you won. Maybe Mikey won because he was arguing so much against his own.
Oh, that's the mind games. That's how it works. It's all good being the giving the critique from with your bread and milk. Now you're in the hot seat, mate. So let's hear it. And as we do this live, I definitely want critiques. Certainly of Craig's, less so mine, more so Craig's. But we also want to hear your kind of votes. We'll probably do the Twitter poll like we usually do. But give us your vote, your thoughts as to who's winning the arguments as we go. And feel free to chip in, as I say, and derail one or both of us.
So who goes first? Is it Mugs away? Is it?
I can go first if you want.
Well, no, I don't mind, mate. I didn't know what.
There you go. There was a guest host's choice. There you go. You can go first.
No,
you can choose. You choose.
I'll go first. Right. My entry into room 101 is conceding 5 goals in home matches.
I just need to interrupt. Sorry, and just put that message there for you while we do that. Thanks, Charlie.
We'll just remove that. I was literally. Oh my God, he's started already, everyone. He's mind gamed. Right. My entry was going to be conceding 5 goals in home matches in Division 3, but I put that to one side. Right. Picture the scene. You've forked out 100 quid on a ticket to a Premier League football match for you and whatever it costs for your child to some soulless Premier League ground. Or you might be a season ticket holder who's forked out a grand, 1,500 quid, how much they charge you for a Premier League season ticket nowadays. So you're not on the breadline, you're not short of cash. Ideally, you're situated somewhere near the players' tunnel. This is absolutely key. Now, in the days leading up to the match, you get your pens out, you get your pencils out, you get your paints out. You might even start cutting pictures out of Shoot magazine or Match magazine. You create your A2 piece of art. Glitter is optional. Ladies and gentlemen, my entry into this week's Room 101, please vote accordingly, is the modern day scourge of football. Actually, it's crept in the last couple of years. It's become very, very prominent. It's the "Can I have your shirt" sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just desperation. It's needy. And I'm bloody positive that 99% of the time, it's for the parent of the child, not for the child who's being made to hold up the sign itself. You know, it's an absolute shambles. It's a whole guilt trip. The child's being used as some guilt trip mule of the whole transaction. You know, it's like latter day Victorian chimney sweeps. So
Wow.
yeah, there you go. That's my one.
Go.
Give me your shirt, Ronaldo. Give me your shirt.
Jack Grealish. Yeah.
Oh, give me your Janoy Donasian.
Yeah, give me your shirt.
Give me your shirt. Yeah, that's the one. Give me your shirt signs.
If I was walking to my local Sainsbury's to get some bread and milk, I'd be definitely considering that one. I'm almost tempted to pick a crap one so that wins, but I'm all about the W's. And as Charlie says, Ipswich, aka the special one. There you go. Support coming in strong from Craig. I agree. Guilt Trip Mule, great band, says Charlie. Yeah. Featuring live on John Peel on Monday night. And mine has kind of got a nice. You see, I've been spinning some narrative, Craig. I've been playing some seeds that are starting to
Brown, mate. You're like Darren Brown. You've been dropping little bits and pieces into people's subconscious all the way through, have you?
Yep. Here we go. Your name is Edward Bishop, and in the summer, the employer that you loved, that you've grown up with, told you that your services were no longer required. There was no place for you left at Ipswich Town Football Club, and you would need to find your way in the world, and off you go. And you managed to find yourself an opportunity at a club in the same division as your former employers. As much as it's sad to leave, it's great that you've got the opportunity to show your former employers what you can do. In the 89th minute, the match is all square. It's 2-2, and a moment opens itself up for you. The ball rolls across. The fullbacks have bombed on for Ipswich. There is total freedom at Sincilbank, and you curl a shot into the top right-hand corner, and you win the match for your new employers. And what's more, you can stick it to your former employers who told you to sling one. They're done with you. And what do? You don't celebrate, because you want to show the supporters that you've got respect and the goal doesn't matter. So I'm not going to celebrate. And I'm putting into Room 101. I'm offering up Room 101. Footballers who don't celebrate goals against their former clubs. And what's more, footballers who don't celebrate their goals against their former club, but actually go above and beyond to say, I'm not celebrating. I'm holding my hands up. I'm not celebrating my goal. Oh, celebrate your goal. If I scored a goal against anyone, I go absolutely crazy. Bishop hasn't scored a goal this season yet. Imagine he scores against us in the last minute and chooses not to celebrate it. It's just denying your human instincts. So I feel like I've opened the door for Craig there, but notice how I span it at least with the early bits of conversation. So I'm offering up players who don't celebrate goals against their former clubs into Football Room 101. So bring on the abuse. I know it's not as good as Craig's.
If this is anything close to last week's 51-49 majority, it's an absolute travesty. I should be checking the betting trends in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, mate. Well, that's that. So that's a nailed-on victory for myself and you. Can I have your shirt
Well,
signed?
let's see it. Let's see in the comments. Let's get some early polls. Let's get some exit polling to make sure. Here we go. I should have asked for that. Do you feel for you can press the buttons. There we go.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Michael. Absolutely.
Oh,
right.
That's what I mean, Michael. That's what I mean, Michael. So if
no, you're right, Michael. Craig's the winner. Let's leave it at that. Right, off you go, Michael. No. Thank you. What? Yes, correct. You'll walk this one, Craig. Yeah, absolutely right.
Oh, here we go. There's Matt. Come on, Matt. That's what we want. If I just want to bring up Michael, who's a long-standing member of the live show crew from Brisbane, which is a fantastic Australian city. I've been to the art gallery.
Don't fall for it, Michael.
It's a fantastic modern art museum in Brisbane, over the river. He says I would be given the big one in front of Paul Cook. Yeah, that's what I want. I want Bishop to celebrate the goal, not to put his hand up and go, "Oh, I'm not going to celebrate." So there you go. So
what Matt's got here is you can just tell that Matt is not only he's multitasking here, because not only is he putting a comment here on YouTube, he's probably designing his own little sign at the same time, you see.
No, don't go after Matt. Matt's an excellent, intelligent. Charlie, though. Charlie, what have I done to you? Charlie's turned. No longer the special one. Rich, emotive, but Craig spoke the truth. Craig did speak the truth, I have to admit. FBL Tractor, I can see if a player played for 20 years, not so motivated, but we've seen 3-month loadies do it, and that's crazy. FBL Tractor, that's a very excellent, intelligent, very attractive point, if you don't mind me saying so. There we go. Oh, Craig, exclamation mark.
Thank you, Nick.
Jordan Rhodes. Robert, you might need to remind us about Jordan Rhodes. We'll do that as we go out. Should we you're in charge.
Yeah. Should we do some plugs, Richard? I think that's where we're up to.
No, the favoured WhatsApp group. There we go. Good solid points from Eric. Lovely. Very, very diplomatic. Let's we usually sign out with the Chavi theme music again. So let's do that and then we'll do some plugs.
See what you do see Rich throwing shapes. I was going to say what you don't see behind the scenes is that Rich loses his shit when that music comes on and all you guys see is the safe thing. He goes absolutely batshit. It's
my goal
crazy.
Celebration when I score against Ipswich. Yeah.
Right, plugs. The ladies are playing this Sunday. They're at home again. They're at the Gold Star Ground. It's a 2:00 kickoff against Keynsham Town. Tickets are a £5 for adults. They're £3 if you're under 16s, or free if you're going with an adult. So if you want to see a clean sheet and you want to see some goals, get yourselves down to the Gold Star Ground on Sunday afternoon. Always a decent watch. I think always a decent crowd, and
crowd numbers keep going up and up and up. So you need to get the loyalty in there. So they save you a spot when it's sold out every week. Yeah,
exactly. Or you'll get your tokens when they start moving back to the main pitch in a year or so's time. We've got the live show coming up. Sorry, we've got the live show midweek that we had after the West Ham match. Rich and Ben going over that again. Sunday we'll be recording the flagship show. Ben, Dave, and either myself or Joe, depending on schedules and timings and bits and pieces like that. So that will be out Sunday night / Monday morning, potentially Sunday night. So as ever, give all our videos a like on YouTube. It helps Rich's nerdy algorithm bits and pieces and calculations. Leave a comment along the lines of, God, yeah, those bloody give me your shirt signs are an abomination of modern day football.
Doesn't count. It needs to be the vote.
If you want to go onto Twitter, but I'll count them and add them on. Okay. If you want to go onto Twitter, vote for that, please. That'd be much appreciated. But any comments, thumbs up, anything like that, 5-star reviews on wherever it is that you hear your podcast from. Obviously, make sure you mention my name, because when it comes to my annual appraisal, I can print all these off, and when me and Rich go through my PRA and stuff like that, it helps me from raising up from the ranks of cleaner. Rich, we all know where we can find you, but do you want to tell us, in any case, your socials?
Yeah, I would say, as if you want, before we say goodbye, if you want to shout out or to say hello before we disappear, Charlie,
You will definitely get a shout out if you have
FPL
comments
Tractor.
like this. FPL Tractor,
He's changed his tune again, FPL Tractor. I thought you were on my side anyway. It's fine. I trust you guys to make the right decision when the poll comes out. Yeah, you can. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, great. Thank you for that. Always great to hear positive feedback. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm at Ipswich, both on Twitter and Instagram. Try to do as much as possible on the Instagram, and I'll plug the Blue Monday Instagram as well, because we try to do as much as we can on there at the moment. Blue Monday Pod Team is where you can find us there.
Perfect. And I'm on Fims75 on Twitter, which is a mixture of nonsense and Popmaster in the main. I think that's it, mate. I think we're done. We've gone way over our time. That's what you get for getting a rookie in the
host
in the hot seat, mate. Yeah. What else has everyone's got to do at 9:10 on a Friday night? My Fimbo pizza Friday night is ruined. It will be burnt to a crisp. But hey, the things we do for Blue Monday and Ipswich Town. Rich, do you want to have the final word?
Yeah, I was going to say something about running towards adversity, but I'm just going to say thank you everyone for joining us live. Thank you to Craig. Great had to have someone else running things. Goodbye to Sully as well, our friend in New York. And I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to say, come on, you Blues.